this isn't really my profile, my professional profile, but I started getting into pole dancing like a year and a half ago. You should try it. It's been an amazing journey for me.
I definitely have a drag queen inside. She's a diva and she wants to come out, and she's that kind of girl. She's on a pole.
Yeah, she's on a pole.
So, Tracy, we just met.
Yeah.
I'm
hello.
Tyler.
I'm Tracy Carver. I have a PhD in counseling psychology from UT. And I'm in private practice. I've been in private practice most of my career, actually, since graduating in 2014. It's what I love the most.
Yeah.
I work one-on-one with individual adults. I don't do couples, don't do kids or families.
Sure.
And I was just telling your producer, I do walk and talk therapy as well.
To me, the idea of walking and talking with a therapist completely sounds much more fun and inviting.
I'll say, yeah, especially for my male clients too.
Sure.
Because it's, it's a little bit less eye contact.
Right.
It's less intense. It's less just like, why is this woman staring at me? And when there's silence, it's like just this morning, I got to rescue a little baby turtle that was in it was in our path. Yeah.
That's great.
So, it kind of like adds a natural
For sure.
pause in therapy. So it's not just like
Constant.
tell me about your feelings.
Right. Right. It definitely, I think, softens the edges. But I would definitely want to touch on the fact that you've been in private practice since you finished school, because I don't think people understand how difficult it is to go from.
It's true. And I don't take insurance.
Student, that's even harder to, having your own practice. And so what was that journey like for you?
Great question. So I did most of in a PhD program or a PsyD program, you're doing a lot of practicum before you actually get licensed. Okay. So
practicum is?
It's kind of like hours that you're getting while you're in school.
Gotcha.
You're basically paying for it.
Like residency almost.
Kind of like residency, yeah.
Okay.
And so I mostly worked in hospitals and inpatient units, so working with more like severe mental illness.
Oh, goodness.
Which is, I worked at Austin State Hospital, other places, and then I did my internship, which is like residency, up in Boston, also working in a hospital system. And that kind of, shaped my decision to go into private practice.
For sure.
I think you can understand, working in a hospital.
Yeah, it wasn't for me.
No, not for me.
My thing going into family medicine was that I had this fake image in my head of what I thought it was going to be, and I carried that even to my interview in residency. I was sitting in residency at the interview, and in my interview with the program I ended up going to ultimately, Florida State University, and one of the attendings was there, and she's like, "Where do you see yourself after residency?" And I said, "Well, I would love to open like a clinic that was cash pay." But not only did I see patients for primary care, they had their gym there. It was like a fitness because that's both of my passions, right? And so we would track their fitness as well as their health, and it would be like this membership. I'd never even heard of any of these being an option. Like I was 25 years old, and so she was like, "This will never happen," literally.
So discouraged.
I know, and I was like, "Well, I guess I'm not getting into this program." I got it. But she didn't like me for 3 years. You know who you are.
Yeah, wink. Yeah, I said I wanted to do research. So, I mean, we've all, done some things.
I think when you have put so much work in, like you want to be your own boss at the end of the day.
It's so nice to be self-employed.
It is.
Like today, I did those 2 walks, and then I'm here. And it's like, that's my day,
I know. It's really great. I have been in a similar kind of transition for a long time of trying to figure out what my niche was going to be. And so I got into telehealth back in 2018, and it was 2017, 2018. It was great.
Pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic.
You were ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I saw the opportunity, and I thought, I knew this was going to be a huge industry in medicine, but medicine is very slow, I'm sure you know, but the pandemic changed all of that. But prior to the pandemic, I would have said telemedicine is going to explode in 20 years. So I was preparing, though, and trying to take up as many opportunities as I could and learn, get as many state licenses as I could. Pandemic happened. It just changed everything exponentially. But that also allowed me to learn how I could incorporate telehealth into my own primary. Well, I do hormone replacement, testosterone replacement for men, and then I still work in telehealth, working in mostly men's health concerns, working with Rouget, prescribing erectile dysfunction medicine. So, but still, just
I love telehealth.
Oh my god, it gives me so much autonomy. Do you use it much in your practice?
So I gave up my physical office. So I know, right?
Well, isn't that?
And for me, there's not much there's not much overhead in my profession. So
because when I gave up that, and just now it's all, isn't it? I mean,
it's great.
there's no words to describe the freedom you feel from not having
it's
a
so
rent.
freeing. Yes.
And like, you don't feel scrambled to try to acquire too many patients to pay for the bills, because you want to give high quality care to your patients, and it will continue to grow at the rate that it always is set at, you know?
Like, for my personality, like, I'm pretty self-sufficient as well. Like, I don't necessarily need that office kind of chit chat. I mean, it's nice, but I feel like I get intimate conversations with my clients. So I'm kind of like, my social needs are met, you know?
I ended up going to a therapist when I was 15 or 16. When I came out as queer, my mom was like, not sure what to do. So we tried church and it didn't work too well. So then she showed me the therapy, which was great. The guy was super nice, but he had a very nice office, but it was just him. And I looking back, I'm like, I'm sure he could have saved a lot of money if he just saw me over the computer.
That's your thought now as an adult. Like, man, looking back, my therapist could have saved so much money. Yeah.
He did try hypnotism on me once, though, and I don't recall the event whatsoever. Isn't that interesting?
Which maybe, does that mean it worked?
I don't know. Do you do anything like that?
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I try to make sure, actually the opposite. I want my clients to be conscious and mindful and awake during the sessions.
I don't know if I fell asleep or if I was really hypnotized. If I was really hypnotized, though, I really wish he would have told me, because I would have gone back for more to figure out what that would be like.
I mean, I think hypnotherapy is legit. Like, I think there are people who do it for like smoking cessation. I don't know.
Yeah, there's clinical evidence that shows that it does work for that. Alcohol. Yeah. Even eating choices. Yeah. And since we know you don't do hypnotherapy, tell us some things that you do.
So I do actually, maybe in that sphere. So I'm also a yoga teacher and meditation teacher. And the type of meditation I love the best is called Yoga Nidra. Nidra is Sanskrit for sleep. Okay. And so it's sort of I think it's like an ancient yogic joke, actually, because it's like a paradox of the sleeping yogi. You're going to sleep to kind of fall awake.
Sure.
So there's sort of this little joke in there of being you're asleep, but you're more awake, actually.
Right.
So I love Yoga Nidra. It's great for grounding, for stability, for just calming the nervous system. It's the type of meditation where you can lie down in Shavasana, which I like as kind of a lazy person. Like, I'm like, let me just lie down with a bunch of props and get really like cozy.
Okay, sign.
Yeah.
Up.
Yeah. It's very soothing.
Yeah. I work out a lot, and so does my partner, but we love yoga because it obviously is great for stretching, and we just kind of love being in that stillness. Mm-hmm. But we don't like it to be too much of an exercise because we already do that.
It's a work within, right?
Right. We want it to be more like what you're describing.
Yeah. Yin and Yoga Nidra is more my vibe. I'm not really in the power kind of yoga scene.
Same.
But so I will sometimes actually incorporate a little bit of that with my clients, especially if they come in hot, to the session. It's like, whoa, like you were just, maybe they just had a fight with their partner or their boss. They just got an email. Classic.
Oh, God.
They just came out of a meeting. It's like, all right, so let's do like little brief kind of meditation. And that's how I kind of weave it in.
And as a therapist, just to kind of jump into a little bit of what you just mentioned.
Please do.
These damn emails.
I know.
So it's one of the reasons why I am so glad to be a little bit more self-employed now is just those emails can be so stressful. I mean, you can just be bebopping through your work, just like killing it.
Yeah.
And then your boss
in the flow.
Slides you one of those like passive aggressive, or not even your boss,
or even Slack. So many of my clients in the corporate world, they're always on Slack.
There's a lot of anxiety. I don't know if companies realize how much anxiety having Slack really adds to the job.
Yeah,
because we don't need to be talking that much, especially if we're remote. Send me an email.
Yeah.
And even then,
nothing is that urgent.
Yeah.
I feel like, that's kind of like more existential, I guess.
Right.
For a lot of my clients, of course I'm infinitely patient as a therapist and I care about what they're saying, but a lot of times I'm like, wow, none of this matters.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in the grand scheme of spirituality and meaning of life, like this doesn't really matter.
And that has been helping me to remind myself that I've just recently started doing that maybe in the last year of like when I'm having that panic moment of I need to get something done or this is, I could have I always remind myself too, is like, you could have not opened that email for another 3 hours. So just pretend like that. Give yourself 3 hours to digest it.
process it. Yeah.
Because immediately it just adds to the layer of whatever you're doing at the time. And I'm sure you see people who are very stressed and have these issues with their employers. How do they, is that kind of what one of the main goals that you set for them is like, take a moment, breathe, realize you're going to be okay?
That's always good advice. Yeah. In my, my virtual office, I have a little painting behind me that says breathe. So it's, it always feels good. All right, a little reset.
Breathing has been a big part of multiple episodes so far.
Yeah.
It's something that I think the universe is trying to remind me, because I always hold my breath. Like I hold my breath all the time. Yeah.
Or you're only breathing like you're up. Yeah. Yeah.
So even now, just taking a breath is nice. So obviously you're a well-rounded therapist who is able to do a lot of different things. My goodness, yoga and meditation being a huge probably part of what you try to educate as being important. Some other therapies I heard you were also taking part in included psychedelics like ketamine.
Yeah.
So how's your journey been in that space?
Yeah. So, well, it started with my own journey. In 2017, I had signed up for a yoga retreat with one of my fave teachers.
Who?
And Erica Clutie.
Cool.
I don't know if you know
Erica.
Yeah, shout out to Erica. I don't know where she's kind of like during the pandemic, some people traveled to other states or things happened with their family and some of the studios, but she used to teach at Suka, which I love. So
gotcha.
Highly
recommend.
Shout
out to Shuka. Suka?
Suka, yeah.
I said Shuka. Shout out to Shuka.
Shout out to Shuka.
And Suka.
And Suka. Yes, all
cool.
of it. Yeah, Suka means like sweet.
Nice.
Or ease.
Is it here in Austin?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
South Lamar. Anyways, so Erica was doing this yoga retreat in the Amazon of Peru. I know. And I was like...
Hard sell.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Like that day I signed up and we stayed in these treehouse kind of things that were like a literal treehouse with swinging kind of Indiana Jones style bridges between the tree houses. It was magical. We had wonderful guides who knew everything about the jungle, all the animals and plant life. Like, it was such a blissful time.
Do this.
Yeah. So I'd signed up for that. And then when I travel, I like to kind of look into the country where I'm going and see if maybe, again, as a self-employed person, I can just take all the vacation I want. It's not paid, but, it's all right.
You can get paid while you're on vacation. You can pick up a couple patients here and there.
If I was more ambitious.
But you don't have to be.
Yeah. So anyways, I was like, okay, well, what else could I do in Peru? And I looked into Iquitos, which was kind of the jumping off point for this particular retreat.
Gotcha.
And then actually looked in like a guidebook, like a physical, back when you'd have like a physical book. I looked in a guide to Peru and read about Iquitos, and they had a little insert that said, oh, by the way, Iquitos is the home of ayahuasca. And I was like, oh, okay. And it just kind of like triggered something in me. I had heard about ayahuasca through podcasts or through, I don't know, just kind of like, out there in the atmosphere. And so then I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to do ayahuasca. And I'm a fortunate person. I don't have major trauma. I didn't have, addiction. There wasn't something that I was trying to heal necessarily.
Sure.
It was more kind of curiosity, and it was just calling to me. And I think I was also developing my spiritual side through going to Shuka, and, and taking these weird classes. Like, it was all the pieces were there. And I found this retreat, and so I did that. Went down there by myself, and it all just kind of like worked out perfectly. It was a really small group down there, and just, the medicine really spoke to me. I mean, it was challenging. And now I've done about 30 plus ayahuasca ceremonies.
As a patient or a provider or
as
both?
As a patient, as a participant or traveler, Wow. And they're it's not for me, I'm not a person who really enjoys necessarily being in those states of consciousness.
Sure.
I kind of enjoy being in my body. I enjoy ordinary states of consciousness.
Right.
I really do. I feel grateful to be on this human plane.
Sure.
So I'm not necessarily someone who's like, get me out of here. I just want to be
there.
There, right? So it's challenging for me, but I feel like it's really powerful feminine energy with ayahuasca. And she just she like cracked open my heart. Like we did some open heart surgery.
Wow.
Lots of stuff, like just purging out and cleansing and clearing out the debris.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. So I think maybe you're the third guest that we've had that has discussed any type of psychedelics. And I've only used marijuana and any type of like recreational or even therapeutic, Yeah.
Cannabis is, really sophisticated medicine. That's what I use now actually to Journey.
Same.
It's just cannabis.
I'm really ready for this next step, but I love that I'm learning a lot about it now. And so when your first experience came to you and it was already this really incredibly orchestrated event, do you think that could be something that would be beneficial for me to consider, is creating more of a, I don't want to say dramatic, but in a way maybe more drama around? I mean, it's incredible to be in a treehouse in Peru surrounded by swinging bridges. I mean, to elevate my experience, right? If I've waited this long, I mean, granted, that's not affordable for everyone, or maybe not even for me, but should I try to plan something big around it?
So what I do now, or what I offer to clients or potential clients, is a little bit of like prep and integration. So we're people who are kind of considering an ayahuasca retreat. I'll often meet with them to discuss exactly this. Yeah. It helps, when I really know them and we've had lots of discussions, but I usually recommend going to Peru. Like, again, if resources allow, I think there's something special about being in the jungle, because you get all the sounds, and it's just going to be more authentic. Like, you can do it here, right? You could do it in the hill country, but I think actually going to Peru, being with, shamans who have been, in their, like, they've been working with the medicine for thousands of years in their families. The main shaman at the place I go, I think he started drinking the medicine when he was 12. Wow. So, and now he's like 50 something. Wow. So, you're getting that experience that you just are probably not going to get, even in like Costa Rica, which is where a lot of the retreats are too. I recommend Peru.
I've been to Peru. It was a very random experience. I was in undergrad, and in undergrad I was not the most dedicated student, but there was a group of people. I was pre-med. I didn't even really put a lot of effort into that, but that's what my title was. And our degree focus, and I was in this group called Students Without Borders. It was meant to be like Doctors Without Borders. And so we went to Huancayo, Peru, and we volunteered at an orphanage. And I had never been to South America in that capacity. I'd gone on a cruise, but a cruise is not that. Yeah, that's a little different. Yeah, it was really eye opening for me. I had an incredible time, and it's always been calling me to come back to Peru. Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah. It's a beautiful country, and I mean, the jungle, like, you fly into Lima, and that's a lot more cosmopolitan, right? Yep. But then when you're going into the jungle, like, to me, there's just something really special about it. Right. I also love heat and humidity. Same. Yeah. Florida. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's my dream climate, like tropical. Yeah, and you get to see, like, the place I go, it's in this really, really tiny village, and you get to see, and if you want, especially if you speak Spanish, you can interact with the locals, and a lot of them, they get around like via boat, like canoes, especially in the rainy season. It's really, it's very eye-opening for us, especially like coming from, where we live. So sometimes I don't feel safe walking in the streets of Austin or Miami or New York, but did you feel safe there? I felt extremely safe, and my Spanish is not great. My Spanish is so bad. I took 5 years of Spanish. Yeah, it's not. And it's, all I can say is, "Si se puede." Yeah. My favorite saying. I'm like, gracias. But I felt so safe. The people there are super nice. To me, they would just ask me questions like, "Oh, are you married? How many kids do you have?" Like, because they're very like family oriented. I mean, it's very cultural, right? Very sweet. Yeah. Get into the picture into what they would expect from you, right? Yeah. Or all of us. And some people could be offended by those types of questions, and I think certain people should know when or when not to ask in our culture, but in other cultures, it's kind of like they're trying to make conversation. Right. It's a view into what they find important. And that's or they're like, cool. Where are you from? And then how many kids do you have? And then, Whereas in America, it's what do you do for work? Yeah. Are you married? Why not? Yeah. Do you have kids? Yeah. Why not? The judgment. Those are the first 5. Yeah. I also stick out. I'm like a tall, white redhead. So it's like, you got to be okay getting some questions. Sure.
But I love it. Yeah, I felt safe. And at the retreat center, felt very safe.
Good.
I'm a big cat person. And yay.
Love cats.
And I love cats so much. And just unconditionally, like all cats. I'm like,
all cat all
of them.
Colors, all shapes, sizes.
Love them.
Even if they're mean.
All personalities.
I love the personalities of the cats. We had a cat who literally hid under the bed for like 20 years. We barely saw him, but he was great. That was his thing. We had 3 other cats. They did their thing, you know?
Did the cat make a little hole in the
I'm pretty sure there was like
spring?
the back of behind the bed, it was like a white baseboard and there was just like a black layer of hair because he would always sit in that same spot behind.
It sounds nice.
Yeah, he was cozy.
You know?
He was living, you know, he had food. He lived a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the secret. Hide out, you'll live forever.
Just relax. Stay away from people.
Yes.
So the place I went, they have a cat there. And they named the cat Luna, and I was like, "This is a sign from God. Like, this is a great sign."
Yeah.
And that cat, like, I swear, at certain times when you're feeling really, because ayahuasca is a big heart opener, kind of like in yoga, like it's just a big, big heart opener, and so you're very vulnerable. Also, your energy is very pure. Like you're light, you know. So you're the most vulnerable you can be. And I feel like that cat could just tell when you needed affection. Like she would come to me and just kind of like hang out with me for the day. Just like beautiful energy.
If I was under the influence on anything and a cat came to me, it would be a moment.
You're like, this cat is an angel.
It's been sent for me.
Yeah.
I already think that when I am sober.
I already think magically anyways, but especially on ayahuasca, you're like, everything is magic.
For sure.
Look at these ants. Like, look at everything is just like, you're in awe of everything.
So marijuana has taught me a lot of that too, just in my daily practice to be like, look at the ants. I specifically look out ants. Now it's so funny you mentioned ants.
Ants are wild.
But it's just to take a moment and realize that there's this whole community of like things that are
it's trippy.
So much happening right there.
There's so much happening. I know.
And I'm just like sitting here chilling. So, you know, things aren't that big of a deal. Just take a deep breath.
Look at the ants. Yeah. And in the jungle, they have these leaf cutter ants.
Heard of those.
It's so cool to watch.
Do they bite? Do they bite?
They don't bite. No, they don't bite. But you just see, it looks like floating leaves going across the ground. Yeah. I think it's cool.
I do too. I think we have some in the United States. I know I've seen that somewhere as well, but not
maybe Florida.
Maybe Florida. We got all kind of stuff in Florida.
Yeah. All kinds of critters. Down there. But yeah, I think so. Anyway, we're blah blah blah. So I had my own experience. Yeah. So the legal, the
more formal approach.
Yeah. So that was happening personally, kind of awakening, having this kind of spiritual awakening.
Right.
I can remember coming back, and fortunately, I was already hanging out with all these like yoga people, therapist people, very open-minded folks.
Yeah.
And so I would come back from retreat like, do you think like this about the universe? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, whoa. Like for me, okay. It was very affirming, and it was kind of undoing actually a lot of that more science, like hardcore academia ways of thinking, a little more of that kind of like rigid black or white thinking. Ayahuasca was sort of undoing a lot of that and helping me just be comfortable in the unknown and in the mystery. So that was happening. And then the office that I was renting from, like the office suite that I was in, the psychiatrist and social worker who are a couple and were kind of running the office, they started offering ketamine treatment.
Sure.
So Dr. Turnipseed and Andrea Turnipseed had gone and done a training in California. And do you know them?
No, just in the
I know the Turnipseeds.
Can you believe that's on your mailbox? I know. You must be the favorite of the
It's so adorable. And they're adorable.
I'm sure they
have the cutest family. They're such great people. Like, I love them so much.
Turnipseed? I can't. This is incredible.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll never forget him already.
Yeah. Yeah. I do. So I highly recommend them. That's where I send my patients if they need psychotropic medication.
Sure.
But so, yeah, Brian and Andrea were kind of exploring ketamine, and they did a training out in California and then decided to bring it to Texas. And they were the first clinic in Texas to offer ketamine-assisted psychotherapy. So very progressive.
Yeah.
This was 2018, I want to say. And so I just kind of happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Right.
They offered a training locally, and I was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
What?
Incredible.
I'll do it. And so then I just kind of like through working with them was able to offer that because you, of course, you need a medical doctor. You need like, I can't just on my own, like, here's some ketamine.
Sure.
You know, like I would never.
I mean, I don't even know if I would be able to do that quite yet.
So getting to see them start the program from the beginning. I mean, there was a lot of trial and error.
For sure. Absolutely.
You know, with the dosing, with the
and they were on the forefront,
setting.
Right? We're many years beyond that point.
Yeah.
So you can Google it now. Really.
Yeah.
On, like,
they were really innovating.
Protocols.
You know?
They were really. Yeah, that's incredible. And so brave to be in a conservative state, technically.
And psychiatry, well, like, you know, like you said about medicine, it's not. There's some dinosaurs in that.
Yeah.
You know, in that field.
Oh, medicine in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of the difficult parts of me being in residency and realizing how many dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same with psychology.
Sure.
I was just listening to this. I don't know if you know Ram Dass.
Mm-mm.
You know, so he's one of my favorite teachers. He's dead now, but he was back in the day. He was a Harvard psychologist with Timothy Leary and kind of like that whole group in like the 60s, 70s.
Sure, I've heard of Timothy Leary.
Yeah, and so his name was Richard Alpert, and then so Timothy Leary kind of went the, you know, LSD route, and then Ram Dass went to India and kind of went the Hindu yoga spiritual route and became Ram Dass.
Wow.
But yeah, he's great. He's so warm, like very loving. He's very relatable. All his talks, like he uses language like far out, and
That's
you know,
cool.
it's just makes me laugh.
And even though he is passed, he's still teaching to this day.
Exactly, it carries on.
Teacher, you literally, your legacy never ends.
So he was a psychologist way back when, and I was listening to this podcast where they feature talks of his.
Right.
I think this one was from like the Nixon era. And he was talking, yes, it's like, you know, we're going back in time.
To have those thoughts.
Yeah.
And vocalize them.
Yeah. And he brought up like the MMPI, which is, it's an assessment tool that psychologists use. And he was talking about it like, yeah, can you believe, you know, like psychologists are, you know, using the Minnesota multiphasic personality inventory. And I'm here 50 years later like, yeah, psychology's still using that, you know. Wow. So anyways, that was a roundabout way to say
things aren't changing.
Psychology can still be a bit stuck in their ways.
Yeah. And then as far as where the ketamine clinic is today, obviously still seeing patients in person.
Yeah.
So what is that process like? Like how does a patient get involved? How does it get started?
Yeah. So I'm happy to speak to that. I've kind of stepped away from it a bit actually in the past year.
Okay.
Just because a lot of my clients now, they got to the point of being able to do ketamine without me in the room, still under medical supervision, not just like, you know.
Not at the party.
Not at a, not at a party.
However, you know, ketamine is quite a big substance in the party scene. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but in South Florida, in New York City, in LA.
I can't imagine because I got to do it as part of the training.
Right.
And I'm like, I could not imagine.
It doesn't look fun. Like I have a vivid image of a friend of mine doing it. When I was like 23, we were at a bar in Atlanta, a bar, mind you. This is not even a club. Like the music's not even like, we're just all kind of chilling. And he's just like doing ketamine in the corner. And I'm like, is he okay? My friend's like, oh, he's in a K-hole. And I was like, well, that does not sound like you're selling it to me.
No.
You're really not making me want to try this thing.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't recommend ketamine for recreational use.
Yeah, I can see that. And because obviously you're not getting it's not dosed.
No, it's not dosed. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Don't really know where it's going. You know, they're always on this fine line of like feeling great and in a kind of zombie state for a good 11 minutes.
Yeah. So super scary. Yeah. So the way they do it at the clinic is, of course, well, you know, it's pure and they do either IM or IV. So very precise dosing. Right. There's medical supervision there just in case something goes wrong. But so I stopped being as involved because a lot of my patients were able to kind of graduate to just doing ketamine sessions with a physician assistant there or someone or another like medical staff member there. They didn't necessarily need me in the room. And it was also more financially, a little financially better for them to do that method. But I still, work with them after the fact to kind of integrate, what came up for them in the ketamine session.
So what usually comes up?
Yeah. So ketamine is a super interesting medicine. It's unlike marijuana. It's unlike ayahuasca. It's unlike psilocybin. It's really or MDMA, like it's really in its own category. It acts as a stimulant at low doses.
Sure.
And then it kind of acts as a psychedelic, and then at very high doses an anesthetic.
Right.
Right. So
in the ER, we've used it a lot for like when kids get things stuck in their ear because they can't easily take it out, and you don't want to put them under complete sedation. But what's interesting is like they're just just breathing, hanging out, nothing bothers them.
Yeah.
Doesn't look too bad.
Yeah. Well, that's the cool thing about ketamine is we know it's super safe.
Right.
Like, especially at really, really high doses. Like, you know, they know it's extremely safe and very, very rare to have a bad reaction to it. So at the doses we were working with, which was anywhere from like maybe 50 to 120 milligrams. So, you know, pretty small, right? People will, it's also a dissociative.
Right.
So folks can, when I was in the room with them, I'm playing a certain playlist for them, maybe talking to them, maybe holding a hand if they want kind of that physical touch, physical tether, just kind of there with them. I would often try to get my patients to not fully dissociate because I want them to remember the experience. Right. And I think it's more fruitful when I'm there and they can kind of like, you know, they're having visuals, they're kind of in that psychedelic space, but they're able to talk to me. Now, I might sound really crazy to them, which they often said. They're like, your voice sounds, you know, it's all trippy and weird and far away and kind of in a sideways dimension, right? It's not like we're just talking, you know?
Yeah.
And plus they have on eye shades and they're, you know, they're reclined.
They're having a moment. They're
having a moment. Yeah. But I would say it's hard to describe because it varies so much.
Sure.
Right? So it really depends what they're there to work on, what layers of self they want to bring forth. I was thinking about this before the show today, like what do psychedelics heal and how do they do it? Like what's the mechanism?
Right.
And there's all these, I mean, a ton of podcasts, right, getting into the neuroscience, and people love that and they want to know, like, you know, everything. What's the amygdala doing? Like, they want to know. In ketamine's case, like glutamate, what's happening there? Like,
oh my God, glutamate is having a moment.
People, really? It is.
Yes.
It is.
People are getting it injected. The glutathione, glutamate, anything with the gluten in it is having a moment.
Okay, but not gluten.
Not gluten.
We're not a fan of gluten.
Actually, I just had a gluten-free meal last night because someone I went to dinner with, they were like, I can't eat anything gluten. Yeah. And then the waiter was like, very like, okay, let's get together. We're going to make a plan, which I sort of loved because when I go to a restaurant, sometimes I kind of want the waiter to decide for me. Yeah. So I'm just going to start saying dairy-free or gluten-free. You pick for me because I'll eat anything, but I like to like be adventurous. And anyways, that's my moment on gluten. Yeah.
I'm dating somebody who's gluten-free now. So it's,
it's interesting.
It is. I'm vegetarian, mostly vegan. So I'm like carbs. Sure. I love it. Right. It's mostly what I eat.
Yeah.
But
now you're just eating fruits and vegetables.
I'm open to it. Yeah, I'm open to it. I did eat a brownie last night. Just not a weed brownie.
Just a regular brownie.
Regular.
You have to have a brownie occasionally.
Yeah.
They're great.
Gotta live your life.
You do.
Where were we?
So we were talking about, yes, and what people would typically bring to you and some.
I was like, I was going to share my deep thoughts.
Yes. I'm sorry, I totally just sideswiped you.
I was going to share my deep thoughts from the other night. Where this wisdom came to me. So to me, because I was like, everybody loves the neuroscience explanation. Right. If that's what you're here for, like, I'm not the person for that. I just I can learn it. I'm capable of learning it, right? But it just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't feed me. No, I don't feel the heart. Too.
I like thinking about what it could be doing much more than actually having to learn the whole process. Of course, if it's something I'm very vastly invested in, sure, but this isn't one of those things.
Yeah, I'm not trying to go back to cell biology.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right. You know. I would prefer to just make up cartoons of what's going on in my brain.
Yeah. So to me, like psychologically or spiritually, now I kind of come more from the spiritual lens. I'm like, what is it doing?
Yeah.
To me, it's just creating, it's helping people kind of get out of their own way, which is what I believe is with all my clients, that they really have their own wisdom. I'm just trying to create a space for them.
Right.
to tap into that, right? And psychedelics, it's the same thing. It just helps them clear out all the, you could say, defense mechanisms, or you could say, you could have some kind of like brain chemistry definition of it if you want, or you could have a shamanic definition. Like, it doesn't really matter, but it's kind of clearing that out of the way so that their natural wisdom can come up. And so that's what I think it does. It's like after they have that journey, they come out and they're like, yeah, now I realize blah, 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 and they have that insight. And usually it just feels like truth coming from the heart, right? It's coming from them, but it's like that wiser part of their self.
I love when you feel like usually, again, I'm limited to marijuana, but I have a lot of those moments.
Yeah.
With my partners, and he'll just be like sitting there, I'm like,
yeah.
Something came to me.
Exactly.
And to have someone to talk to about it.
I love that. Yeah. I love that you use it that way, because that's like one of my pet peeves with my clients is when they'll just use marijuana. I don't want to say just, but a lot of them use it as like self-medicating to numb, right? To help them sleep, to just like forget about their day, whatever. And like, that's fine. I mean, I don't think it's harmful, whatever. Sure. But to me, I'm like, this is a really powerful medicine.
Oh my goodness.
Like, you could actually use it to expand and grow rather than shut down and numb.
So I have been doing this with my partner since we first met, and it's really just created this relationship that I never even knew was possible for myself, because you're so open, you're so vulnerable, or you're going to not enjoy it. You're probably not going to do it with your partner again. So we decided we were going to be open and vulnerable because we enjoy that being a part of our life. And it just brought us to the next level. And so my mom and his mom too, they visit my house a lot in North Florida. They like come out and help around the house, and we, give them some money under the table so we can like help them out, and they help us out, and they're around so we can continue our relationship in a way that's like almost routine. Yeah. Because we want to be around them a lot, and it's just hard with our schedules. And so my mom would often see marijuana laid everywhere. I don't hide shit. So marijuana's in the garage, marijuana's in the backyard, marijuana's in my room. Yeah. And my neighbors are like super conservative, so most of my mom has fear of that, and I'm like smoking a joint in the front yard.
Peace. Yeah.
Right. So, but what she didn't understand was what we were using it for. Yeah. She thought we were using it for maybe, hide our depression, cover our anxiety.
Mask. Yeah.
So we invited her and my
I love this.
My mother-in-law and his two sisters and one of my cousins to South Florida to stay at an Airbnb a couple weekends ago. Yeah. And his mom will smoke with us. Yeah. And so I knew if everyone was smoking like my cousin did and his sisters, my mom would probably do it because she's very much likes to do what's going on around her. It's just her personality. Yeah. And so then she felt support from another mom doing it. Yeah. So she smoked a joint. Okay. Like, this is a conservative Christian woman. She had the time of her life. She saw everyone laughing, and at one point she was like, you and Gabriel, do you laugh like this every night? Yeah. Like, every night. She's like, no wonder. This is great for your relationship, because she has a relationship.
Brings levity.
She was comparing it to hers, right? And like anyone would. She was like, we don't laugh like that, and maybe there's something missing. And then strangely enough, too, we were talking about sweet tea while she was high, because she drinks a lot of sweet tea.
Yeah, the South.
And it's just a way you could just avoid calorie intake. It's just it's a drink.
But you're trying to get her to be healthier.
Yeah, like, always, And so I said, we were just talking about it. And the next day, she actually gave up sweet tea, and she has not had it since. Wow. To her, in her mind, the way I explained it and how it processed.
She saw it.
She saw the benefit of her feeling better, looking thinner, less puffy, less sugar. Yeah. It finally outweighed the sweet tea taste. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, imagine what else we could unlock.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we do. Me and my partner, every time we smoke, we try to unlock something else.
Yeah, it's so ayahuasca does that on, it's a deeper level, right? A more intense level, but also it's not accessible for everyone. Yeah. Is the other thing. Whereas I think marijuana is a lot more accessible and a lot gentler spirit. I mean, unless you're, you could do some really
accidentally been there many times.
Yeah, you take an edible and you're like, here we go, right? Especially if you're sensitive to it, or to me, and being sensitive to it just means you're not suppressing it, right? That's the cool thing about marijuana, I think, is compared to alcohol, like you have to be, I don't know, it's a different wavelength, right? And so you have to a lot of people are like, I don't think I'm high. And then you're like, I don't know. Are you though? Like,
just you really don't know.
They just kind of, it's like, oh, I'm here, right?
Yeah.
It just sort of like,
it's
a come up, right? It just kind of like happens.
Yep. We talk a lot about, because we don't drink very often. We actually just had a cocktail last night, which was a big deal, and the night before, which usually
2 nights in a row.
I know. It was a big deal for us. And we didn't get sick, because I always get hungover, like very easily. But alcohol just gives you more of that, like, I don't really care. I'm not going to sit and process anything.
No.
And marijuana's like, everything matters. To process everything. And so
it's a higher perspective.
Right.
You know, it's just
it's not for everyone, especially I have a friend who she has a son or 2 sons, and it's just too chaotic for her to even have that moment, even when she's away from them, because her stress always brings her back to that like very
and some people get
place.
Paranoid too, or
I totally get it.
It increases their anxiety.
For sure. And I even get that way with all the unknowns in life, and that's one of the practices I use is to like you're okay. Yeah. Things are going to be fine. Yeah. If you're freaking out about this now, you'll be able to think about it later and process it and realize it was not a big deal. Yeah. And that helps.
For me, like, and this is maybe another reason that I've kind of gotten a little bit away from ketamine. I think it's helping a lot of people, and it's legal. Right. Right. So that's huge for people who don't want to travel to Peru, or they don't want to, try psilocybin. Like, it's important for their job that they, just do something that is very by the book and allowed, right? So like, I get that, yes. But because it's a dissociative, it doesn't bring you into your body. Right. And me being like a yogi, I'm just like, I like more somatic practices. So for me, I like medicines or approaches to therapy or things that, techniques that kind of help you get more embodied. Right. Right. And I feel like that's so healing for people as well.
For sure. I think too, I agree with you. I would definitely be more fond of something that allows me to be more connected to myself. I think that's where I'm at on my spiritual journey. I'm really not spiritual at all. I try to like fight that term for some reason. I think I have a lot of trauma related to just being spiritually Christian conservative. Yeah. I'll come back to spirituality, I think, when it's ready for me, but I still am spiritual. I just call it something different because I'm just not ready to own that term yet.
Fair enough.
And so it's more just like me connecting with myself. I almost feel like I'm more like I can't say that out loud. Humans are gods in our own way. We're connected to the whatever. And I just want to focus on me being the best me, whether that's my body, my spirit, whatever you want to call it. So for me, I constantly want to work on I enjoy it. It's like my hobby. So marijuana is literally like, it's so contrary to what you learn in high school or
oh my gosh.
It's like
the DARE program worked on me.
Me too.
It worked on me. I was like, I didn't do anything.
I'm gonna lose all my teeth. My hair's gonna fall out. I'm gonna be 800
just say no.
Yeah,
I said no.
It's much easier than the consequences. However, saying no is such a funny way that was their slogan, because it really is what it's doing. You're saying no to growth. You're saying no to maturity. You're saying no to processing trauma. You're saying no to new experiences.
Right.
And you carry that DARE program of teaching someone just say no is so much more beyond than just the drug prevention. It's really a mindset of newness is a no. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's so limiting, right? You should be afraid of something new. Yeah. Yeah, you should be afraid of that.
So I'm definitely not a big fan of the dissociatives. The only dissociative that I can remember recently is actually I did nitrous oxide when I got this laser done on my face, which if people out there can see my face is a little red, I have to comment on it. Because first of all, you should see your dermatologist. It's a great way to be proactive on your skin health, but the laser that they use is so painful that we use the nitrous oxide, which is a great way to
is that laughing gas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it dissociates
nice.
you. You still feel all the pain, but you're over here and your body's here. So you're like, sorry, dude. Enjoy the pain. And sorry.
Is it? I briefly did a little bit of like the BBL laser.
Okay.
Is it as painful as that? Because that was...
So this was... This is really bad. Like, so the first time I went to a dermatologist and asked to have a procedure similar to this, they were like, well, we're going to put you to sleep.
Wow.
And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. And it was really expensive. And my dermatologist, who's become a really good friend of mine, he's like, we'll just give you some laughing gas. You'll be fine. He's just realistic in the sense that it is extremely painful, but you can handle it. Mm-hmm. It's just like, I've had laser hair removal. It was probably 30 times more than that. Yeah. I'll show you pictures after of what my face looked like. But it's really worth it
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
So it's just major resurfacing.
Yeah, major. And I mean, you know, people always ask, like, how does your skin look so good? And I'm not a huge topical person. I use occasional products, but when I was 27, I started noticing that I was aging. Like, you know, that was my time. So I was like, well.
From this hard lifestyle that you had of like drugging and drinking. And
I know.
You know.
It was really mostly residency though, because that's how I felt.
Oh, that was when I was my least, for us as internship, I was my least healthy.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
And it was showing on my face. And so, you know, I just wasn't ready to stop fighting the fight of anti-aging. So, and this was actually at the time I just was taking ownership of my health. That's when I got diagnosed with low testosterone, but I also went to a plastic surgeon, was just like, look, I don't want anything crazy. Just what can you do to help? And he's like, well, I think you'd be great for this CO2 resurfacing of your skin. It would just help fine lines, pores, and you would have a better texture.
Yeah.
Basically, I said, your texture is like shit, so you should do something now. So it was confirmation. He also was going to try and make some money, maybe, but I didn't go forward with it. I just actually had like Botox around my eyes here, and then decided to wait. And then my partner had it done when I met him, which is so funny. What a random thing.
And connected on that.
Yeah. He had acne scars, and they dramatically
that's
improved
so
those.
hard to get rid of. Yeah.
It's one of the few procedures that really help. And so, anyways, we do it now like every year, which is crazy. It's way dramatic.
I love it. Yeah.
That's our thing we do, and we laugh about it, and it's painful, but going with someone makes it all the better because you can like kind of discuss what's going on. Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I guess that was a really long, drawn-out way of explaining why
I'm interested. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my only recent dissociative.
Okay, yeah.
I guess really the only one I've ever done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I prefer to like be a little bit more.
I want to be present. Yeah. You know, and that's like for me, I guess also just a lot of it's kind of the chicken or the egg. Like, was I drawn to yoga because I am that way, or did yoga make me that way? We'll never know. But for me, that's a lot of my personal practice is like just rolling around on the ground. Maybe there's some cannabis catalyst happening.
Sure.
But doing like some myofascial release and like, I mean, I'm not trained in traditional Chinese medicine, but I feel like I can detect like meridians and all kinds of
you absolutely can
things, you know, if you just sort of like let yourself kind of play in that space.
I love people in this chair have also been bringing up the floor a lot because
in this chair.
Yeah, this is like the chair.
In this chair.
The floor is a really great place for people to kind of just start to explore their body with or without marijuana. Yeah. I think a lot of people avoid it. I never used to get on the floor, but I was having really bad back problems. Oh. And so my partner and I decided we would try sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
So we slept on the floor for about 8 months.
Y'all are experimental.
We are.
So cool, yeah.
And it's funny because we started in the beginning of the pandemic, we slept on the couch every single night. I have a 4-bedroom house. It's nothing fancy, but we have lots of beds. Yeah. So we slept on the couch for like a year, and then my back was like too soft.
Yeah, it's going to mess up everything.
So we went to the floor. Now we're actually on a mattress the past like 3 months. But we love the way yesterday I was telling my partner, I'm like, this bed is so comfy, but my back does so much better on the floor, and I get time to like just be with the earth. As weird as that sounds, I feel
it doesn't sound weird. It doesn't sound weird to me. It's so supportive, like, right? And that's a yoga nidra cue is like, just imagine like whatever surface you're lying on, whether it's a chair or the floor, imagine your body, like letting the force of gravity let you go into that surface and imagine that surface rising up to meet you.
For sure.
So imagining the ground rising
I feel it.
and hold you.
Especially like when you're laying on your back and your spine is just letting itself go.
Yeah, exactly.
It reminds me of being at the gym, like just holding on to, oh my God, I'm going to just break this thing. Just holding on to the bars and like letting your spine just hang. It's the closest thing you can get to that.
They say hanging is really good for you.
It feels incredible. But I think a lot of people don't spend much time even considering the floor, and that's what I started telling my patients with low back pain. I'm like, just spend at least 5 minutes of your day laying on your back on the floor.
Just lay on your back, maybe feet on the ground, but knees up.
Yeah, whatever's comfortable. Yeah. And it's helped. They've reported positive.
I love supported bridge. Do you know what that is? Yeah, like I could just hang out there.
We watch a lot of Yoga with Adrienne on YouTube. Do you know who?
Yeah, she's so popular. Yeah.
Oh my God, she's like, we became, I think we're stalkers.
Your fans.
We're huge fans. Like literally because we've seen so many of her videos. We like talk to her. Yeah. No problems. I hope. Maybe I actually need to make an appointment with you. I need to talk through my invisible friends.
But that's a good person to be a fan of.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it's not like you're, and it's not.
I tell everyone about her too.
Great. Yeah. Spreading the wisdom of yoga. Because that's what she's doing, right?
Yeah. She's a great intro course. She does like a 30-day thing
super beginner friendly.
Yes. And it's the kind of yoga I like where it's more focused on stretching and like enjoying the movement instead of like.
It should be joyful. Yeah.
You know, trying to sweat it out, which is fun too. I've done those. Classes was just not my thing for exercise.
No, I don't like a fast paced. Yeah.
I like the hot yogas. I would sweat a lot though.
Yeah. I was going to say, so this isn't really in my profile, my professional profile, but I started getting into pole dancing like a year and a half ago. You should try it. There's a few men who go.
So if we had a moment where we did this together, could we come back and talk about it here?
Yeah,
I would love that.
Yeah, we could.
It would be a lot of fun.
You'd probably be, I mean, you obviously have upper body strength. I don't know about your flexibility, but.
My flexibility is like a 3 out of 10. My upper body strength is like a 6 or 7, and my legs don't work at all. So if it's all upper body, I'm good. My legs are strong, but I have no confidence in them at what. I don't know if you've ever tried bouldering or like climbing with rocks.
I'm terrible at it. Well, and they're kind of short now, but I like my nails, so
Me too.
Yeah.
Mine are short, but I got the same issue too, but also I am always using my arms, so I burn out very fast.
Yeah.
And
a lot of forearm.
No trust in my legs.
Yeah.
Working on it.
But so pole is like, I mean, it's been an amazing journey for me. Like, I mean, it's very sensual and sexual, but also like strength building.
Sure.
And it's a lot of hanging. Like you're like often just like hanging, on the pole.
I'm sure it's great for your spine just to be in those positions.
Yeah. And you're often in kind of like a spiral, like shapes too, which I think is great for the body.
For sure. And I think too, building sexual confidence alone in an activity alone by yourself.
A very safe activity.
How incredible. There's not many of those you can really feel super comfortable regardless of who you are, what walk of life, what trauma you have in the past, where you can embrace your femininity, your masculinity, your sexuality alone with a pole. And people can be there, but they don't, it's not a 2-person touching event.
Exactly.
Usually,
Yeah, and the community is super inclusive and supportive, and you can tell when somebody is just kind of like just working through something, and they're not dancing for anybody else.
Right.
It's just for them, and it's really a beautiful sport, dance, activity, whatever we want to call it.
Yeah, I definitely have
expression.
We talked about drag a little bit before we came in here. I definitely have a drag queen inside. She's a diva, and she wants to come out, and she's that kind of girl. She's on a pole.
Yeah, she's on a pole.
So I need to improve my skills.
She's on a pole, Let's get her on a pole.
Definitely on a pole. So let's make that happen.
Yeah.
And do you go to a place like in town?
Yeah, on the east side.
Wow.
Yeah.
Austin has everything.
It really, I know, whatever you're into, right?
So we had just moved here in January, and we have an apartment.
You're
like,
really
close.
new.
Yeah, we have an apartment like right up the street, but it's really busy where we live. And we in Florida live in a suburban area, very quiet. We have a nice backyard where we greet our plants every day, like Mary Poppins. It's really that.
Hello.
And here it's a little more intense, and so we haven't felt like really grounded down. But what changed is we got a couch.
Okay.
And the couch has really solidified us being here. Yeah, because it was such a pain in the butt to get into the unit. I'm like, we're here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is it.
It's happening. It's like, this is permanent.
And we
this is never leaving.
We went to a restaurant the last couple of nights. So we were with friends. This is our first time we're like getting to
the
social.
Cocktails,
And then we went to an event. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Mary Olivar. She is... how would you describe? I always think of her as like a goddess, kind of like you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And just a spiritual leader, a spiritual guide. Okay. But she did an event at Kuya. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Kuya.
Yeah.
So we went to her event for like the spring equinox on Friday night. And it was very reminiscent for me of like, praise and worship at church. I went to like a contemporary type church, but it was just praising and worshiping the earth and the directions and just welcoming spring, which is just not my thing, but opened my horizon to something that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
We were dancing around. I was like singing songs I didn't even know. And it was really cool, that whole environment and vibe. Is that stuff that you kind of grab?
Yeah, I'm like a bhakti yogi, so that's like chanting, singing,
incredible.
Like just kind of moving around. Yeah, I like the weird stuff.
Awesome. Well, that's definitely what I want to continue exploring. I feel like Austin's really opening that up already for us. Just in Jacksonville, Florida, don't have quite the opportunity.
Not as much. All right. Well,
thank you.
Okay.
We'll see you next time.